All right, we always talk about moral victories. This is actually a moral victory where you can
Thank you.
just feel good. This is a moral victory. So, Craig, your thoughts when we talk about a moral victory and just the
Mm.
things it can do, winning cures everything.
Yes, it does. Winning cures everything. And I think the whole moral victory thing, we talked about this, right? Like we talked about this after I think it was week 3 or 4. And we were like, moral victory, the Vikings. That's when it was. Is this a moral victory? And I finally took the stand of no, it doesn't exist. I don't think Green Bay Packers fans know what a moral victory is. I don't think Pittsburgh Steelers fans know
No.
what a moral victory is. They know what a victory is. And so when you combine a victory with something that creates a better morale for your team. I know winning always helps, but dependent on how you win, when you like play together, when you rally to come back from behind to make for a victory, when you have your stars play like stars, like these are the types of things that create a moral victory. And that's why I feel like this game was so important, because not only was it a comeback victory? Not only was it on the road, but it was, and not only was it 2 in a row, but it's back to back division wins. It's huge.
Mhm.
It's huge.
You're right. We start looking at that's the thing about winning. Winning kind of checks things off. It's like you
Yeah.
just said it on the road, man, huge in the
Mm-hmm.
division. You get a victory to keep your season from turning into, and we've lived through this, that just boom, you're 1-10. Like,
Yep.
why am I even watch? It's so
Oh
weird. But
yeah.
hey, we've won a couple games in a row. Can we win a third in a
Let's
row? You're
go.
just
Yeah.
into it a lot more. And man, talk about just feeling good. You practice better. The coaching staff. You start believing in some of this crap. I'll say crap, right? There's some of this crap you
Oh.
hear about grit, and it's like, well, actually, that was a gritty win.
Yeah.
Actually, we went on the road, we made plays, and you just then that stuff that Dan Campbell says, it's like, I'm actually with you, man. So that's why winning is huge.
Where were you at? All right, you ready for this one?
Hit me.
2 weeks ago, right? We are 1-6.
Uh huh.
Where are you at with Dan Campbell and the staff and Holmes then versus 3-6 now?
Oh,
Where you at?
absolutely. Yes.
Is it a 180? Is it 90 degree? Like, I mean, what are you feeling?
The doubt was definitely creeping in. The
Mm-hmm.
thought before it was Dan Campbell, he's got 3 years. It doesn't matter what we do. He's got to build this. We're playing for the
Mm-hmm.
long game. And the next thing you know, you just losing. He's making bad calls. It's just you're faltering. A lot of the same stuff we've seen year after year. And you start thinking, geez, you know what? Maybe he doesn't know either. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not the answer. And then you win a couple of games and you're like, that is what we needed to see. As Lions fans, we did not need to be going to the Super Bowl this year. We just needed to win here, win there,
Yep.
because our schedule has not been this daunting. There's no way we can win team after team. It's like Packers are down, Bears are down, and we got some of these victories. So that is just so huge. How about you? Where were you at 2 weeks ago versus now?
Yeah. So I was happy about last week, but I was like, show me more.
Yeah.
15-9. Don't love that. Again, it was another where I didn't feel like we played complimentary football again. And this was the first time, even though we gave up 30, that I felt like we played complimentary football. Our defense got a pick six. The offense played well
Yes.
enough to win. The defense played well enough to win. I felt like both sides played better than average, if that makes sense. And so with Dan Campbell, I have come from like, I'm all in on this dude at the end of last year to,
Yep.
okay, I still am all in for the first couple weeks of this year. And then all of a sudden there was a 4 or 5 week stretch where I'm like, okay, maybe I was wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just another coach. And then these last 2 games have turned it for me. And I'm going to tell you one play that turned it for me this week. And it's not going to be what you expect. Do you
Ooh,
know
so
what it
it's
is?
hold on, let me guess. So the
Yeah, go
one
for it.
play,
One play
it's gonna be
completely changed my mind and said, all right, Dan Campbell's learning and he's starting to figure
it's
out what it looks like to coach in the NFL.
about like 7 minutes ago. It was 4th and 3, way in our territory, and he punted.
Well, that's great. Another almost perfect example. It was our first drive of the game. So Bears start with the ball, they go down, they get a field goal. We get the ball back. Beautiful drive. And we have what, 4th and 3, something like that?
Yes.
Real deep in their territory. What does he do? He kicks a field goal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. You act like, and I've said this 100 times. Number one, act like you've been there before, whether you have or you have not, right? And by the way, you have been there down 3-0 often, right? Like act like you've been there before. Number two, show your players that you trust them to execute. And
Yes.
I think sometimes people think, well, yeah, then go for it. No, no, no. Execute within the way the game is played. Take the points. It's
Yes.
the first drive of the game. Take the points, because even if you get a touchdown, it's the first drive of the game. It's just like in the NBA. Why no coaches, they get that one challenge. Really dumb, by the way. They only get one challenge. What coach do you see taking it in the first quarter?
Right.
Nobody, because they know it's 2 points is inconsequential in the first 12 minutes. It's huge in the last 12. Like that is what I'm talking. It's like if you're going to go for it on fourth down, maybe in the fourth quarter, but kick the field goal. And he did it. And he
Absolutely.
played the game normal, and we won like a normal team wins. It was really fun to see.
Absolutely. And no, that's you're exactly right. I forgot about that. It was so long ago, but because you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
I'm just like, dude, please kick the field goal, because somebody put it in the comments. I don't know if some famous coach put it. The hardest points to get in a football game are the first points. And
yeah.
I truly believe that, to get on the board,
Mhm.
get some and yeah, there was about a stretch. It was like 7 minutes to go. No, it might have been less than that. Might have been 6, 5. Anyway, it's 4th and 3 in our own territory. And I'm like,
I think it was 10.
yeah, just
Yeah,
punt
just
or
punt.
whatever, just punt. And we almost
Might
didn't
be
there for
more.
a second. But anyway, yes, it's like, thank you, man. Just play the game right, stay in it. And I
Yep.
think, and then we were down and the pick six. It's just, man, again, we made a lot of mistakes, a lot of things that we can clean up. But when you win, it all looks good. You feel good, and
Yeah.
yes, you feel better about Dan Campbell 100% after these last 2 games.
Yeah. Yeah. You feel better about Dan Campbell, but you know what else you feel better about? You feel better that the guys on this team are guys you can actually win football games with.
Yes.
And you're
Yes.
starting to see who are the guys for the future, and who are the core parts of this team, and then who are the guys that maybe go to a backseat. I'm
Yes.
not saying they're off the team. I'm just saying they might not be future starters on this team. They just create depth. And
Yes.
so, like, there's a lot of that going on, but I love, and that's why it's a moral victory, because the coach said, I trust you, team, to get this victory. The team said, Coach, we got your back, and they earned that trust. And I
Yes.
think it now is kind of going both ways, where you have a coaching staff that trusts its players more, and you have players that trust their coaching staff. And when
Yes.
you trust your coaching staff, you're more likely to do your job, which results in what? 2 penalties, maybe 3. Like that is the moral victory. You win a game against a team that you might have had you outgunned thanks to Fields, right? But you made less mistakes, even though you had a lack of receivers. I use that as an excuse for the Vikings loss. Remember, we just kept losing people, losing
Yeah.
people, losing people, losing people. She's like, how are we supposed to win this? And by the way, I use that as an excuse for our victory against the Packers. They just kept injury after injury after injury. And I'm like, we just couldn't hold on against the Vikings. But we're down to 4 wide receivers, almost 3, right? We found a way to win.
Mm,
And I think that is a moral victory. It's like against all odds, down 14 with injuries to what is arguably the most important position on a team, wide receiver as a unit, the wide
right.
receiver room, right? Like, oh my goodness, they found a way to get it done. That's a moral victory.
Absolutely. And I'm starting to correct. I used to be always about, you got to have the players, you got to have the players, and that is
Yeah,
absolutely true. But
it
I
is.
definitely think, we talk about culture, but what culture really means, you said it. Coaches trust the players, players trust the coaches. You learn how to win. I think there is a big
Mm,
part of that still in football, in team sports. You got to learn how to win and all that stuff. So it's like, I think we have the players, and if we can learn to win, I think that's our final hurdle here. And so you win a couple in a row, and it's like, you look back, it's like, well, we're winning, so we looks like we're learning how to win. Versus,
yeah.
it snowballs the other way. We're not winning, so do we know how to win? It's
Do you
just,
even know
oh man,
how?
it can snowball in
Yeah.
so many in complete opposite directions. So it's just great to obviously get this victory. This is a moral victory for sure.
Yeah, I think my hope is that we're doing next year what the Giants, what the Jets, teams like that are doing this year, where it's like, all right, they're a few years into the rebuild, and all of a sudden they're figuring it out.
Yeah.
They're starting to figure it out. And by the way, I think we already have. I know I've not been the nicest guy to Goff over the last 3 or 4 weeks, We already have a better quarterback than either of those teams. So
Absolutely. Yep.
like it's just one of those things where it's like just keep building the talent and more victories will come. Just keep doing what you're doing. At least it feels nice to get a couple victories. It feels nice to
Absolutely.
get a couple
It does.
victories.
It just feels good for
Good for
everybody and
morale.
yeah, everybody involved. You know, for us who we cover the team and you
Oh, it
can't
feels
make
so much nicer doing this, doesn't it? When they win.
you can't make videos after loss. It's not fun at all. So let us
No,
know in the comments your
do it.
thoughts on this victory. We are loving it. Just great to see. Just great to see a couple wins in a row. And we will see all of you on the next one.
See ya.